Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Robert Allen, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Russell Toohey. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Private William Charles Reid, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them through at the front to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private William Charles Reid. William Reid was born on the 5th of June 1879 in Greens Plains, South Australia. Known as Will, he was one of 9 children born to Thomas Reid, a pioneering farmer in the region, and his wife Matilda. Will grew up around the town of Pasqueville and attended the local public school. On completion of his education, he began working in the copper mines at nearby Kadina, and later took up work as a farmer in the region. When the First World War broke out in 1914, Will Reid was among the first South Australians to volunteer. He enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 12th of September that year and was assigned to the 3rd Light Horse Regiment. He embarked for active service from Newcastle on the 21st of December 1914, sailing on board the troop ship Boona. Trooper Reid joined the rest of his unit in Egypt in early 1915 and continued training. From camp in April, he wrote to his family, "Just come back from an 8-day trek. We went through Cairo and camped nearby for 5 days. There are a lot of ruins there that were built about 4,000 years before Christ was born. There are pyramids, ancient temples and statues of different kings. It is getting very hot over here now, and the sooner they take us away, the better, for us and the horses, or else we will all be dead with sand. I do not think it will be long before we go now. All the infantry have gone and are fighting by this time." As light horse units were initially considered unsuitable for operations on Gallipoli, Reid did not reach the peninsula until May 1915, when the light horse was deployed without horses. Reid spent the months that followed playing a defensive role until August, when he became ill owing to the difficult conditions of life at the front. He was evacuated to Egypt, where he was admitted to hospital suffering from enteric fever. Shortly after, he was sent to England to recover and spent the better part of 2 months in a London hospital. Following his discharge from hospital, Reid was charged with being absent without leave. He later contracted another illness and as a result did not return to duty until June of 1916, when he was sent to an English training camp. There, he wrote to his mother, "Just a few lines to let you know that I am well. We are working jolly hard now, and I don't know when we are going away, but we are under orders to go at any time. The Allies are making things pretty busy for the Germans now, but the Australians have lots of men in this new advance. I don't know how much longer it will last, but if the Allies keep going on the way they have, I don't think it will last much longer." Shortly after writing, Reid was transferred to the 16th Battalion. He joined his new unit in the front lines of France in early October 1916, just in time to spend a bitterly cold winter in the trenches. The beginning of 1917 was marked by the German strategic withdrawal to the Hindenburg Line. Their retreat was eagerly followed by Allied units who seized the opportunity to push back the enemy. In advancing, these units were confronted by well-prepared rearguard defences and booby-trapped towns, which resulted in a series of bloody clashes. It was not long until the German withdrawal halted at the new front line, near the French village of Bullecourt. The Allies planned to mount an attack to break through German lines and capture the village. Reid's unit attacked on the morning of the 11th of April 1917, with tanks in support rather than artillery. As the men jumped over the parapet, the tanks quickly proved to be worse than useless, and the attacking infantry were left exposed to murderous enemy fire. Soon forced to retreat, Allied units suffered more than 3,000 casualties in one day. Among the dead was Private Will Reid, who had been killed in action. He remained listed as missing in action for almost 12 months. His recently widowed mother wrote to Base Records, I was advised to write to you to ask if you would kindly try and get information about my son that is in France. The last letter I received from him was in March. I am so anxious about him as he is my only son and I am a widow. He has written so regularly to me. I do hope he is alive and well. In February 1918, a court of inquiry determined that Reid had been killed in action during the fighting at Bullecourt. Today, he is commemorated on the Australian Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux, among more than 10,000 others who have no grave. Will Reid was 37 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is on display today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Charles Reid, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.